Okay, Bill, I'm gonna mute.
All right, can everybody hear me?
You're good.
Thank you, sir. Oh, share screen. See how that looks? Let's get rid of all this little stuff, how I always don't know how to get rid of it. Oh,
Trial and error.
oh, it does it to me all the time. Then if I move, it goes not away.
One of the problems is they keep changing.
Okay. Score contest. Assign B, things that fly. Aligned.
Okay, it's a really interesting action shot of a peregrine, and it looks like it's got some prey. Uh, a very dramatic angle, diagonal coming through the image, coming right at the camera. Especially for the B group, I think it's terrific. The only thing I'd suggest is in the bird itself, perhaps a little more contrast. It looks just a little bit flat, and I'd like it to stand out just a bit more from the background. I might have even separated the subject from the background and blurred the background just a little bit, and then increased the contrast in the peregrine itself. But those are very small points. I mean, overall, it's a dramatic capture. 7.
Scratch.
Well, I'm looking. I thought at first it was a cormorant, but I'm guessing it's an anhinga. So the anhinga is doing something interesting. It's scratching itself. You have some beautiful, I don't know whether it's sunset or sunrise light, but some nice warm light. You do have a shadow right over the end of the beak. I would have liked to have waited just a little bit more. There's no rush. The bird isn't going anywhere. Maybe it'll lift its beak a little bit and get the whole thing lit. Uh, and the background is a little bit distracting. You have some bright spots. I think in the capture, I would have waited a little longer, hoping that it raised its head a little bit, so the entire beak was lit. And then the post-processing. By the way, I'm getting an echo, Ellen. I think that might be coming from you. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm getting an echo, and when I get it, I think I said light up, Ellen. In any event, I'll try and continue. Um, in post-processing, I would tone down some of the bright areas in the greenery because, again, basically you're trying to remove distractions, and the bright areas, the bright saturated greenery, I find a little bit distracting. I'll give this one a 6. Okay, that is true. This is a thing that flies. It is broad definition. It's an interesting shot. I mean, technically it looks pretty well done. It's sharp. It's well exposed. What judges always do, of course, is they look at the whites to make sure that the whites are there. And the whites, I mean, there's not really any feather detail in this. You can't decide based on whether you see feathers or not. But it looks like the whites are all there. And I think that the one thing that concerns me about this is, to me, there are 3 levels of shots. One is the kind of shot that you delete. And this is certainly not something you delete. The next level up is a record shot. And a record shot, it's a documentary shot. The third level up is a put it on your wall or a competition shot. To me, this is a documentary shot. I'm just not sure it's dramatic enough or that the plane is doing anything interesting enough to, to merit entry into a competition. But technically well done. Certainly the maker was using some good skill and capturing it nice and sharp. I'll see it again, 7.
Take off.
Another dramatic pose, but again, in fact, in this one even more extreme. The peregrine really looks flat. I mean, something is just, as the other Phil would say, fugazi about it. You know, it's lacking some contrast. I think you need to go into Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw, select the subject and put a curves layer on it, or put some contrast on it. Do something to it to give it a little pop. Most of the contrast seems to be in the branch. Background is perfect, but the bird itself is really, really flat. 6.
Bird.
That it is. It's a blue jay. And it's an interesting capture. You know, the bird itself is sharp. It looks pretty well exposed. Maybe a touch, maybe just a third of a stop underexposed. Although the whites in the wing bar, look pretty bright. So you have some good whites there. The background might be just a touch bright, but still it's pretty soft. I might have desaturated the background just a little bit. And I probably would have brightened up the face, especially around the eye, in post-processing the eye and the bill. That, after all, is where you want the viewer's attention to go. And it's a little darker than the rest of the bird, so I might have brightened up that area just a bit. The head, of course, is turned slightly away, not an ideal angle, but everything else is pretty nice about this shot. It's a pleasing shot. It engages me. 7.
Atlas Air.
Well, you know, this one, it's similar to the last shot, although I like this one a little more because I think it has a bit more impact. The airplane is coming toward the camera on a nice diagonal. So it's a little more pleasing to me, a little more dramatic to me. Also a 7. I'll see it again. Oh, wait, don't come back to it for a sec. Yeah, I'm looking and it looks like there might be a dust spot. Be careful. I don't know if you'll be able to see my drawing. Bill, can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, it looks to me like there's a dust spot there. Just be careful. I'm not even sure it's a dust spot, but be careful. You know, when you have just a blue sky like that, it's very easy for any dust spots or imperfections to to show up on the sky. So take a close look at this before you submit it. But I won't score that because I'm not 100% sure. So 7 is fine.
Mother and child.
You know, look at the peregrines here. I mean, first of all, it's really dramatic. Second of all, the peregrines have some pop. You know, compare the contrast and how they really pop off the screen in this image versus the previous peregrine image. This is a really dramatic image. I really like it. I don't know that I would do anything to it. It's quite striking. It's got impact. 7.
Bird and fountain.
Well, that's a creative approach. Looks like a reflection shot with a nice smooth fountain and some, I'm not quite sure what all the white spots are. I guess there are things floating on the surface. I like the creativity here. I think that the bird stands out nicely. It contrasts with the geometry of the fountain and the reflection of the greenery, the foliage. It's an intriguing shot. I think it shows some creativity on the maker's part and some imagination. 7.
How sweet it is.
Well, it's a nice capture. I do think that you have a bad wing position. I mean, you have some motion in the wing, which is fine. I mean, hummingbirds, unless you're at a multi-flash setup and have all the flashes triggered simultaneously, you're going to get motion in the wing, and that's fine. But the position of the wing pointed right at the camera, it's not an ideal position. And I do think that the light is a little bit harsh. Your shadows on the back and the tail are deep, and the light on the head and the breast are very bright. So my guess is that the time of day was not ideal. Some of that maybe you could deal with in post-processing. Tone down the light on the head and the breast, maybe warm it up a little bit and bring out the shadows in the back and the tail, and perhaps consider resubmitting it, but as presented, 6.
All righty.
Eight, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9.
Sign B, things that fly. Honorable mention. Aligned, Wayne Quinto. Bird, Leon Labransky. Atlas Air, Jim Bonacontri. Equal merit. Mother and child, Wayne Quinto. Bird and Fountain, Leon Labransky. All right, folks.
Very nice.
Signed A, things that fly. Cutie.
Well, he is a cutie. I think that the owl itself, or the owlet itself, is nicely done. Exposure looks pretty good. I think that I'll be a little pickier here, or well, not too much pickier, but I'll include things in the scoring that I might not have included in B. The background is really, really busy. You're trying to eliminate distractions, and to me, a bright, busy background is a distraction. You want that really cute outlet to stand out more. I would have darkened the background. I would have really toned it down, especially the grass behind it with the bright lines right behind that little owlet's head, and the rock itself is quite bright, the ledge that the owlet is on. I think a lot of that can be taken care of in post, so you might want to reprocess it and resubmit it. 6.
Butterfly.
Well, you certainly got the right angle. You want the butterfly, in this case a monarch, to be parallel to the plane of the sensor. I'm not sure that the butterfly is completely sharp. I'm looking at the body and it looks just a touch soft. You also have a reversal of brightness here. You want your eye tends to go to the brightest area, and the brightest area here, of course, is all the background. The butterfly itself is the darkest area. Ideally, you want that to be reversed. If you had a flash, if the other Phil Echo, were judging this, he would say you really should have been taking this with a flash, and he would have been right. But if you're not taking it with a flash, then I think in post-processing, you need to brighten the subject a little bit and tone everything else down. Again, I'm going to give this one a 6, but encourage you to reprocess it.
Resting B.
Background is certainly good. Can't complain about the background in this one. It's nice and even, nice and soft. The bee is the brightest area of the image, so my eye goes right to the bee. You know, the bee's tail and wings fall off in focus, but I think that's okay because it looks to me like the head, the antenna are in focus and the front leg that's facing the camera, and that's really the important part. I might have desaturated that purple plant just a little bit, but that's a small point. I'm going to see this one again, 7.
Helicopter.
You know, my feeling about this one is similar to my feeling about the plane shots in the last one. Uh, it's it's an excellent record shot, and if you were giving a travelogue and including slides about the air show that you photographed, this would certainly be in there. But there's nothing really dramatic, nothing to me really creative that gives this particular impact. At least in the one that I gave an 8 to in the last group, it was coming toward the camera on a diagonal, giving it some impact. This one is a fine documentary shot, but to me, not a competition shot. I'm going to give it a 6.
Looking at you.
Well, I think this is well done. I think the parrot or parakeet, I guess it is. It's got a long tail. The parakeet is nice and sharp. It's certainly the brightest and most colorful part of the picture. The perch it's on is a nice diagonal. It gives a kind of a dynamic feel to the picture. I might have toned down some of those bright areas in the background, especially that bright saturated line that goes off at about 10 o'clock from the parrot. I found those a little bit distracting. And you know, that's the difference kind of between an 8 and a 9. It's a nice portrait, but if you're trying to get 9s, those little details are what makes the difference between an 8 and a 9. I'm going to see this one again, certainly, 7.
Great blue heron.
Well, the heron itself, I think, is nicely done. It might just be a touch underexposed. You know, some of the whites in the face and the neck, in this case, are gray when they really should be closer to white, especially the area right behind the beak and right behind the eye. They should be white. The background is certainly white, and you know, if you're photographing on a bright overcast day, there's just not much you can do about that. I can't really, I mean, unless you really want to replace the whole background. Uh, but uh, but if you wanted to leave the background as it was, I mean, I have shots that are certainly against a bright sky, and that's fine. That's when you shot it. Not ideal lighting conditions. And in fact, the light looks like it's coming from behind it. And really, now that I look at it a little more closely, the entire bird looks like it's in shadow, the side facing the camera. You can deal with some of that in post. I would have brightened it up. And again, I'd encourage you to post-process it again and re-enter it 6. 8. mm, I'll give it a 9. It's a nice portrait, despite the flaws.
I screwed that up there for once.
No, I think you messed it up. You have 2 honorable mentions. One of those needs to get an equal.
Yeah, I did it. I know. That was 8.
That's an 8, and the other one is a 9. So that should get an equal merit.
Nope, it's not scoring. God, what did I do? Oh, I think I know what
How about if you just went to assign award again?
that's what I'm trying to. Okay, what did I do?
No, you're going to rescore. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Uh,
Yeah, but that'll make it both.
ah, now they're both equal merits. Oh well.
See, but it won't let me score it again.
Yeah.
Uh,
How about if you did clear all? There you go. Now go back to score contest.
that's what I did before.
And if assign award won't fix it?
No, yeah, it makes one or the other.
Yeah, I got it. Well, we're gonna have to live with it for now.
I'll have to change it. Let me check one thing before I do that.
What about the clear all scores on the far right? Clear all scores, where it says review contest,
Okay.
right up above it says clear all scores.
Yeah,
Further, all the way to the right. Right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
and then just score those two again. No, go by score contest. Just score those two. Go to score. No, go to score. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but it disappeared. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going to go back to the
Or just score those two.
that one, right?
Yep. So that's a 7-9, and the others.
There we go. Score again. Sorry about this, folks. Trust
That
me,
gets
this
an
ain't the
8.
first. That's a
That gets a
9.
9.
Okay,
Okay,
let's see if I do this correctly now. Equal merit. Yay. Honorable mention. There we
good.
go, folks. Get it right now. Honorable mention, things that fly, assigned A. Resting B, Margot Partridge. Equal merit, looking at you, Margot Partridge.
Okay.
Okay, now assigned A, assigned salon. Assigned salon. Things that fly. Nap time.
Well, I think it's an interesting image. I look for an image that engages me, that I want to look at, see what's happening, figure it out. And it's pleasing to the eye. This is certainly pleasing to the eye. The flower is beautiful. It's centered. I think the centered composition works well here. The background is nicely muted. The uh, the bees add some interest and they fit the subject. 7.
Ethereal elegance, dragonfly amidst bokeh.
Hmm. That's an attractive shot. Nice and sharp. Really beautiful vein pattern on the dragonfly's wings. And the maker took a chance here. I mean, a lot of photographers would have toned down all that bokeh, but the maker took a chance doing something creative. You do have a little bit of a halo around the dragonfly, especially the abdomen, and it looks like actually a little bit of a halo on the wings as well. Other than that, I like it very much. 7, I'll see it again.
DoorDash dinner.
Well, it's a nice dramatic capture. You've certainly captured a moment. I just wish you'd shot it a little bit wider. You've clipped the tip of the wing, and and that's a little distracting to me. And the second thing is the other wing, the wing that's closest to the camera, is pointed right at the camera. It's certainly not an ideal wing position. I'll see it again because you've certainly captured a dramatic moment, but there are some problems with the image. 7.
Brown pelican.
I love the water splashing in its bill. The light looks just a little bit harsh to me. Maybe some of that you could have fixed in post, but the light on the pouch especially, it looks just a little bleached out. I'd like to see it a little warmer, and that could have easily been done in post, just changing the color temperature a little bit. But other than that, it's a very nice shot, and it's certainly capturing a dramatic moment. 7.
Sometimes I sit still.
Well,
Twisted.
that is true. That's a nice portrait, certainly perfectly parallel to the camera. Two things that trouble me a bit about it. Number one, and I don't want to get crazy about this, but the face and head of the butterfly does not really look that sharp to me. And the second thing is the sky. The sky looks like it's full of noise. In fact, now that I look at did I say butterfly? I meant the hummingbird. The hummingbird a little more closely, none of it looks tack sharp to me. It's a nice composition, but the flaws to me damage it a little too much. 6.
A dragonfly smile.
Now we all know that this is really a damselfly, not a dragonfly, but we won't fret about that too much. It's a nice shot. The photographer got nice and low, shot it at eye level, not an easy shot to get. And I think that the selective focus works well here. I'm just wondering if, and this is just a thought, where that is the crookedest box I've ever drawn, but if that might work better. I don't know if all this out of focus area really helps, in the foreground and the leaf itself being out of focus. I don't mind at all that the bluet, I think this is a bluet, falls out of focus in the tail because the head is and the front legs are really tack sharp. But I do find the rest of it a little distracting. But I certainly want to see this again. 7. It's very dramatic.
The hover.
Captured an interesting posture, hovering right above the photographer, looking for fish, presumably. You have a little bit of a lighting problem here. The most of the face, the beak, they're all in shadow, and as a result, even though the top of the head is bright, in fact, maybe a little too bright, the eye and the beak and the neck, they're just not well defined. In fact, the beak kind of blends into the dark area behind it. I'd encourage you to try and fix some of that in post and resubmit it. 6.
Great blue heron.
That's a nice shot. You know, it's an interesting posture. Looks like he might be landing or uh, about to land on that stick. The light is good. The whites look pretty well maintained. Sharp. Nice shot. 7.
Black crowned night heron.
It's a nice portrait. The night heron itself, beautiful detail in the feathers. The white under the beak, that little patch under the beak looks like it might be a little burned out, but certainly the feather detail in the breast is nicely maintained. I might have done just a little bit more cleanup. This little twig coming right out of that heron's head, and perhaps this right here. And if it were mine, I might have gotten rid of them. But still, overall, very nice image. I'll see it again. 7.
Flying jewel.
Beautiful. It's a really nice portrait. We all know the feeder is just to the right out of the frame, but that's okay. And this is almost certainly a multi-flash setup, but well done. Very nicely composed. Very well done. Motion is completely stopped. Even if it was a multi-flash setup, the maker took some care to get those extra flash reflections out of the eye. Good shot. 7.
Some fish also fly.
Not for long. A very dramatic shot. I mean, I even like the water drops falling off behind it. I like the reflection of the trees in the water, but they're faint enough so that it's not distracting, but it gives you some context. The osprey, you know, you really have to be careful about the whites. The whites above the eye look a little burnt out to me. And I'm not sure that the face is as tack sharp as I'd like it to be, but it's still an excellent capture. 7. I'll see it again.
Mother and chick.
That's really engaging, getting the interaction between the two of them. Uh, you know, the light is not ideal. It's coming from the right and putting both their faces in shadow. I might have brightened that up a little bit and toned down and warmed the light on the backs of their heads and on their necks, especially the mom up top. That's the kind of thing that makes a difference between an 8 and a 9, but certainly a wonderful shot. Other than that, background's good. 7. Nine, 8, 7, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 8.
Science Salon, things that fly. Honorable mention. Ethereal elegance. Wendy Milligan. A dragonfly smile, Wendy Milligan. Black crowned night heron, Ellen Stein. Some fish also fly, Charlene Fedorowitz. Mother and chick, Lenny McDonald. Equal merit, nap time, Ellen Stein. Brown pelican, Lenny McDonald. Great blue heron, Lenny McDonald. Flying jewel, Wendy Milligan.
Nice images.
Listen, okay, zoology. Ellen, talk about screwing up. Do I just disqualify? There's 3 pictures in here that don't belong here. I put them in the wrong category. What? My pictures, my personal pictures. So we just skip over it when you get to them? I meant to put them in things that fly, and I screwed up.
Okay, I guess.
So they did just DQ'd, right?
Well, bring them up. Let's see what score he gets.
Well then. Sign B, zoology.
Bill, you want me to critique them anyway, even if I don't
If you like, yes.
don't score them? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Swimming.
Okay, this is an unusual shot. I like the fact that I like creativity, and this is creative. It's not something you see often. It's it's on a diagonal. It's not the highest impact image, but it is nonetheless an interesting and creative image. I'll see it again. 7.
Owl 1.
Okay. I'm assuming, Bill, this is one of yours. The owl
Yes.
itself is beautifully captured. Barred owl, I guess. And nicely exposed. The whites are well maintained. The only thing I would do is I'd clean up the all the stuff above its head. All these branches coming out of the head. They're easy to get rid of in post-processing. And before you resubmit it in another contest, that's what I would do. Now you
Okay,
can
thank you.
DQ it.
I'm such a lonely boy.
Well, I love the title and it works well with this picture. The posture is interesting. It's a good zoo shot. The one thing that doesn't work well is the exposure. The poor chimp, it looks not only lonely, but also a little overexposed. His face is pretty bleached out. The whites, look at the whites by the nose. They're pretty much gone, and the whites on his wrist. So this will be getting a 6. And again, I'd encourage you, some of that, if you shot it raw especially, can be brought back in post-processing. So we'll give this a 6, and I'd encourage you to reprocess it.
What?
So I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. I mean, I know it's fish, but and the title is caught. So I'm thinking, well, are they caught by the fishermen and then dropped on the ice? Maybe this is ice fishing? That's what I'm guessing. And these are plopped down after catching them on the ice. It's an interesting composition. I like the geometry of the composition, the way the tail of that one fish curls around and frames the other 2 fish. I'm not sure that the main fish, the main subject, right in the middle of the frame is sharp, but it's pretty close. I'll see it again, 7. It's interesting.
Perched.
Oh, okay, so this one will DQ again, but let me critique it. It's well composed. I think you have a little more room in front of the bird than behind it, which is always the general guideline. I think that the bird is nicely posed. The whites look pretty well maintained. I'm looking at the top of the head. I'd like to see maybe just a little bit more feather detail there, but overall pretty good. Uh, you did a good job on this one, Bill, but now you can
Thank you.
DQ it.
Lounging. The lion itself is well exposed. It's nice and warm, so it stands out from the background. The problem, of course, is that it's a butt shot, and butt shots normally aren't that pleasing. So I'm wondering here, if something like this might not have worked better. Because I don't know that the butt pointed right at the camera is really helping your composition. I think a portrait shot would be more pleasing. 6. Reptile.
Now this is a case in point. The crop tool is your friend, and I don't know whether the maker got the whole lizard in or not, but I think a crop to make this a portrait as it's done here works well. The lighting isn't ideal. It's part of it's in shadow, part of it's bright, and the lighting looks a little harsh. I might have brightened the shadow areas of the face a little more, and I might have toned down the really bright area on the belly, almost out of the frame toward the left-hand side, because that's really the brightest area in the image. But certainly for the B class, it's a good attempt, and I like the cropping. I'll see it again, 7.
Duo.
Okay, I'll critique this. And I like these look like great horns, and it's a nice portrait of them. I'm guessing they're owlets, actually. The only thing I'd recommend, Bill, is this. You have that blurry area down at the bottom, and it adds nothing to the picture. All the action is within that rectangular crop. So, you need to crop with intent. That would be my suggestion for this one.
Thank you. Moose.
Okay, I'm going to give similar feedback about this one to the one I just gave. When I look at a picture, I say, where's the action? Where's everything happening? And to me, all the action, whoops, that disappeared. There we go. All the action is right there. The rest of it, you have the body blocked by that tree. So for me, I'd make this into a vertical. I think it would be much stronger. I'm going to give this one a 6, but again, I think it has potential for reprocessing just a simple crop.
Mm.
7, 8, 9.
Dine B. Zoology. Honorable mention. Court. Leo Lambransky. Equal merit. Reptile. Leo Lambransky.
Nice.
Signed A. Zoology. Alley Cat in Vietnam.
Hmm. Well, it's a nice portrait. Again, it's not the most dynamic image. And I'm going to give similar, when I look at an image, I say, where's all the action? Well, to me, all the action is right there. I don't know that the rest of the image really adds much more to it. So I don't want to be a fanatic, but I do think, probably the most powerful composition tool that you have is the crop tool. And it's so easy to use. Technically well done. I mean, it's nice, soft, subdued light, diffuse, probably an overcast day. I'll see it again, 7, but bear in mind my critique.
Wolf.
I think it's a nice portrait and it follows what I've been preaching to you about using the crop tool to focus on the most interesting area. Certainly the most interesting area is this wolf kind of facing the camera. I'm a little troubled by something around the edge of the wolf's fur down here at 5 o'clock. It looks to me like there's something fugazi happening there. I don't know whether the background was replaced and something funny happened at that point. I'm always unhappy with judges who are so certain of their opinions that something funky happened that they ding a picture for something that really doesn't deserve to be dinged. So I'm going to give the maker the benefit of the doubt here and assume that that's really the way the fur looks. So I'm going to give that a 7.
Giraffe.
Well, that's interesting. Although I'm wondering what happened to the white border. You have a thick border on two sides, a thin border on the third, and no border on the fourth. That is a little bit distracting. The giraffe itself, it's a nice portrait. I'm not sure how you got that black background, except perhaps by replacing the background. But I could be wrong. But the one problem this image has is the light. It's a time of day problem. I mean, the light is coming, it looks like just about straight down, maybe a little bit from the right. And so you have the whole face in deep shadow and the top of the head brightly lit. Uh, it just, it's not a pleasing form of light. 6.
A joint swim.
Well, the maker got nice and low, about as low as you can get shooting frogs without getting into the water with them. You do have a real exposure problem here. Look at those whites. I mean, there's no detail in those whites at all. They're all burnt out, especially the one on the right. That's overexposed by probably a full stop. 6.
Bison.
The bison itself looks well exposed. The face is nicely lit. I can see the eye. Not always easy to do on these very dark animals. It's not really doing anything, so it's not an image with a lot of impact, but it is technically a good portrait. I'll see it again, 7.
Ponies in the Dolomites.
Well, I love the pony facing the camera, looking right into the camera. The image has a couple of problems, though. The merger with the pony behind it that is kind of looking away. The building to the left is distracting. I wish you could have moved maybe 5 feet to the left to separate the two ponies and perhaps even gotten that building on the left out of the frame. 6. Eight, 9, 8,
9-day zoology, honorable mention. Alley cat in Vietnam, Wendy Kaplitz. Bison, Wendy Kaplitz. Equal merit. Wolf, Margot Partridge. Okay. Science salon, zoology. Science salon, zoology. The forest secret jewel, glass frog.
Well, this is an interesting shot. I like the posture of the frog. I like placing it on the diagonal and placing the plant that it's on the diagonal. I am troubled by the focus. Certainly the eye facing us is in focus, but it drops off very quickly. And in fact, the whole side of the body facing us is in focus. But it drops off so quickly and gets so blurry that I find that whole left side of the picture distracting. This frog was probably sitting still. This would be a perfect case for focus stacking. And then you can get that whole close-up shot in focus as presented, those 6.
Sally Lightfoot crab.
Well, this is an interesting image. The crab itself has such interesting detail. I mean, it's such a beautiful pattern. Sharp. The focus falls off toward the left and the back, but that's fine. I mean, both eyes and what's that called? The plectrum? I forget the surface that we're looking at with all those interesting patterns. That's pretty sharp. I don't mind at all the 2 bokeh spots on the right-hand side. I would like to see this area though, the background behind the carapace. That's what it is. Behind the crab's carapace toned down just a bit. I do find that just a little distracting. I certainly want to see this again though, 7.
Bee on lavender.
Well exposed. The pose leaves a little bit to be desired. He's facing a bit away. And in fact, the wing that's closest to the camera is very soft and out of focus. Another case for focus stacking. It'd be awfully hard with the bee. I mean, the frog was probably still. The bee, unlikely you could focus stack it. But I might have shot it at f16, f22, focusing on the closest spot on the wing. 6 as presented.
Munching.
That's a really cute shot. Really good capture. Very small point. Those bright areas up on top, I would have toned those down. You could easily tone those down. The squirrel itself and the seed it's eating, they're terrific. I certainly want to see this again, 7.
Wait a minute, did that score? Yeah, okay. Frolic in the meadow.
You captured some very nice action here. Coming toward the camera, this foxlet The only suggestion here, and it's a very minor one, I don't think you need quite that much space. You know, I think something more like that would work just as well, and still convey the context. But overall, a nice capture, well exposed, sharp, where it needs to be. 7.
Land iguana.
Hmm. Interesting portrait. Technically well done. I might have toned down the background a little more. It is blurry, but it, it's to me just a bit distracting. I love the tongue, you know, coming out. So you captured some subtle action here. Certainly want to see it again. 7.
Eating the flowers.
Very nice capture. I might have brightened up the chipmunk a little more. It, you know, the slight underexposure I think works well on the foliage, but you want the chipmunk to stand out, and I might have brightened him just a half a stop in post. Certainly want to see it again. 7. Nice action.
Checking out the photographer.
The fox is terrific. The background is quite busy. I'll see it again, but the background is a concern. 7.
A tail-to-tail adventure.
Very cute. Very cute. The only suggestion I have is maybe brightening the face of the fox on the left, the little fox on the left, but that's very minor. 7.
Sea lion landing zone.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice the fly at first. Now I get the title. Good capture. Interesting. Very interesting shot. You know, I realize that this thing up on the upper right-hand corner is its flipper. I might have just toned that down a little more, blurred it just a bit more, made it kind of blend into the background just a bit more, but that's a small point. I mean, this is a really nice shot. Facing into the camera with that fly on its chin. Terrific. 7.
That look.
Yeah. Very nice portrait. You know, I was going to say it's not doing anything, but its face is expressive, so I can see why you gave it that title. Technically very well done. I like it. Good angle. 7. So the question is it an 8 or a 9? I really like this shot. I just wish that area in the lower left were toned down. 8. Another question, how much weight do I give those bright areas on top? 9. 9. 8. 8. 7. 9. 9. 9. Very strong images.
Science Salon Zoology. Honorable mention. Sally Lightfoot Crab. Lenny McDonald. Land iguana. Lenny McDonald. Eating the Flowers, Charlene Fedowitz. Equal Merit, Munching, Ellen Stein. Frolic in the Meadow, Wendy Milligan. A Tale to Tale Adventure, Wendy Milligan. Sea Lion Landing Zone, Lenny McDonald. That Look, Charlene Fedowitz. And that concludes our for the night. And we stop sharing. There we go.
Very nice images. Always a pleasure to see them.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any comments?
Just to thank you, Phil. It was excellent judging.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thank you.
Does anybody here in Cranford have any questions for Phil?
We don't do much with snow.
I'm good.
Okay. Does anybody online have any questions for Phil?
Did we do all of the categories?
Yes.
There was no.
Okay. I may have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Phil. Great job.
Thanks
And
for
good
having
night.
me.